has been so meaningful and significant, and the afternoon is indeed going to do the same. So we are very pleased and excited to introduce our keynote speaker. Yesterday, I was just in awe by her beauty, and today she was just so nice and so sweet. And I love people who are just humble. And she has no reason to be humble because her background is so phenomenal. So we are just so very excited to introduce Martinique Lewis. And she's an award-winning diversity in travel consultant, president of the Black Travel Alliance. Both travel, yes, let's clap up for that, yes? Okay, let's do that again. President of the Black Travel Alliance, both travel and leisure and travel pulses, most influential people in travel, creator of the ABC Travel Green Book and app, that's something to clap for also, yes. The #1 resource connecting travelers in the African diaspora globally. Now, this was just a snippet, because she was like, I don't want you guys to read my entire bio. She's so humble. That's just a snippet. The tourism website that has the summit information has an extended version of her biography. I encourage all of you to, of course, listen to her presentation today. Make sure you meet and greet with her at the end, but read her bio. The panelists, the speakers that we have at this event are indeed industry experts, second to none. So we are very excited, and we're going to give her a VI welcome. So put down your cup, put down your fork, and get ready to put your hands together and give Ms. Lewis the biggest round of applause that we possibly can as we get ready for her keynote address.
Thank you so much. You guys, I was like, what version of my bio do you have? Because I'm not trying to keep them here that long. And I was like, is it abbreviated? And it wasn't, so she tried to save you guys. But anyways, thank you all so much for having me. I thought that this morning was amazing, and I am going to get right into it. So welcome to You Are What You Say You Are, capturing the essence of the USVI through storytelling and unique partnerships. So the year is 1977. How many people were alive during that time? Okay, cool. And a lot of things were going on during this time. Star Wars had just came out. Carter was president. Gas was 65 cents. Lord, we wish. And the Air Caribbean had a flight from San Juan to St. Thomas for $19.77. During this time also, these two young black women who were the ages of 24 and 25 traveled to St. Thomas. Now, 1977, for American black women from California to be traveling here, that was something. That was a really, really big deal. And so the reason how they got here is because the lady on the right in the black shirt, her father passed away, but he left her money. And she said, I'm going to travel the world, and I'm going to see everything that I can see. And she said, I'm going to bring my best friend with me. So they came in 1977. She was stuck. She fell in love with St. Thomas specifically, so much that after that, she ended up getting a timeshare here, and she had that timeshare up until 2017. When you ask her why she loves the USVI, she says, I can relax, I can party when I want to. So nobody's begging, the food is good, the people are even more lovely, and then fast forward to 2024, her daughter is sitting here giving you the keynote. So full circle moments. Exactly. And it's always so funny because my mom is like, I just can't believe you're going to be there. I love St. Thomas. I love St. Thomas. I love St. Thomas. She always says, that is the only place outside the States that I would live. And she's like, matter of fact, when I retire, I'm going back. And I'm like, okay, girl, do what you got to do. So anyways, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Martinique Lewis. I am a content creator first, meaning that I create video content. I write articles, all in the travel space. I am a diversity and travel consultant. Well, what does that mean? That means that I teach travel, or I teach tourism brands and destinations how to market specifically to people of color, but I also advocate for everybody who does not look like me in the tourism space. Now, is this title made up? Absolutely. Who made it up? Me. I created the lane for myself, but I understood that it was needed specifically in this space. I am the co-founder and the executive director of the Black Travel Alliance, like she said, and that's an organization that's really was built for Black travel media. We started in 2020. We are the ones who put out that data set all about Black travelers. We are the ones who do immense work within this space to make sure that Black media specifically has a level playing field, that they get the same opportunities that everybody else gets. I am a best-selling author for the ABC Travel Green Book. I am a travel tech founder for the ABC Travel Green Book app. What is that? Like she said, it's the #1 digital resource connecting travelers to the African diaspora globally. So I teach you how to find Black-owned businesses, events, and communities on 6 out of 7 continents because nobody lives in Antarctica. However, if somebody did, I could probably tell you how to get there. But I do have the book out, and I do have that resource. And then I'm a travel show host. So if you have Disney Plus, if you have Hulu, and you type in Black travel across America, my face will come up, and that is what I do in the travel space. So, for years, the way that I made my name in this travel space was specifically by storytelling. And it was storytelling in a way that evoked some type of emotion. So again, diversity and travel consultant. I always told the story of somebody who didn't look like me so I can make sure I could change things within the travel industry. So Commissioner Joe talked about Jeff Jenkins, who you guys see in the top right-hand corner. And Jeff is a plus-size traveler. At times when Jeff would go to hotels, hotels would not be ready for him. What exactly does that mean? He always talked about how he had to think about when he walks through a door if he can go straight through or if he has to turn sideways. He always talked about if he got on an airplane, is there an extender? He always had to talk about how he'd rather go to the buffet, not because he's more hungry, but because nobody would judge him based off of what he ordered when he was at a restaurant. So these are things that people don't necessarily think about because they're not in Jeff's shoes. Or you see Karima Ashiru underneath here with her hijab on. So Karima represents Muslim travelers. How many people in here know that Muslim travelers spend the most out of any other travelers on this earth? Yeah, it's definitely an opportunity that the tourism misses out on. Muslim travelers before COVID were slated to spend the most out of any other community on this earth. And what did that mean for travel and tourism? It meant that we need to change. How so? It meant that if we go into hotel rooms, that maybe there should be an arrow on the top of the on the ceiling, that pointed towards Mecca, because we know that they pray 5 times a day. It also meant that when you go into those restaurants, that you need to think about having those mocktails on there, or if somebody is there and it's during the time or it's during Ramadan, that you don't put them close to some place where there's a restaurant so they're not tempted to do more. But again, things that we don't think about because we don't look like them. So again, I always use the power of storytelling to be able to get my point across within the travel and tourism industry. Like I said, these numbers that we put out for Black Travel Alliance, I'm always so proud of that because numbers don't lie. All morning long, y'all gave us numbers, how much things are increasing, percentages. All of that makes a difference, especially when you're trying to change things from the inside out. So another way that I did this was through something that was called the Diversity and Travel Report Card. And I put this out every single year. So the first year, I was very, very mad at the industry. I was like, you guys aren't doing enough. But I realized that if I wanted to change stuff, I have to tell the stories, right? I have to give examples of how things have changed from the inside out so that more destinations and more travel brands can follow suit. So this is the way that I really made my claim within the travel industry. But today, we're here to talk about the power of storytelling. So I have the pleasure of knowing somebody named Julian West, who is in this room, and I'm not going to, oh, no, she want to clap for you, okay? We clapping for Julian West. And he is an expat or a transplant. And I asked him specifically, I was like, what made you move to St. Thomas? And I asked him if I could share his story. So I'm just going to read a little excerpt for you. But if you don't know Julian, he's this man who you see on this picture, who you guys see throughout all of USVI's tourism, who you see on the website, who you see in magazine ads of him and his beautiful family. So I just want to read what he says. And he said, my first experience in the Virgin Islands was in 2010 when I came for a visit over the Christmas and New Year holiday. This was also during my now wife's birthday. During this time, I got to feel what I feel is an authentic experience of living in the Virgin Islands while still visiting. I went along with my wife wherever she led. We went to many gatherings at friends' homes and experienced local traditions such as coquito and guava berry rum. In short, I fell in love with this place, as I did with my wife, at first sight. I had the opportunity to move here a few years later, and I began working in hospitality and tourism. My background has always been in insurance and finance, and I eventually found my way back to that. Most recently, I started my own business because I wanted to ensure firmer and deeper roots in the community. As an insurance broker in such a small community, it's a pleasure to be of service to my friends and neighbors. The Virgin Islands is a unique place, not just to live, but to do business. And as soon as he said that, I said, wow, Maybe I should move here too. He sold me, right? Based off of his story alone. And why? Because Julian was able to tell a fantastic story. So what does that encompass? What does it mean to tell good stories? It means that when you speak about things, you want to inspire people. It means that when you tell the story, you want to enliven. It means that you want to create instant rapport. Instantly, he was like, people took me in, and I wasn't from here. That's one thing that we learned about this story. They took me wherever they went. They showed me their traditions. You want to evoke emotion. For me, I'm a community-based person. So for him saying, I went back into my community, I wanted to deepen my roots, that was important specifically to me. And then he gives kind of a call to action, telling other people to do the same things, and also speaking about how you are changing lives. So again, that quote that he says, the Virgin Islands is a unique place, not just to live, but to also do business. So earlier, when the governor was speaking, he was speaking about it's not only about the tourists who are coming in, but it's also about the people right here. What stories are you telling about the people right here, and how does that influence tourists now to come in? Like I said, he sold me on that story. I was like, okay, bro, I see, I get why you like it. So maybe think about ways that you can use people who are already here to help get more people to come here, especially entrepreneurs, because they're doing so many amazing things throughout the 3 islands that will heavily influence more people to come. So I want to talk about who USVI says you are, and I want to talk about some key takeaways that I took from not only the governor's address this morning, but also from Commissioner Joe's. So one thing that we know that you guys always say is that you are naturally in rhythm, okay? So for me, that means in sync. For me, that means things flow. It means that things don't have to be forced. We always hear a vibe like none other, and I've been to Crucian Christmas Carnival, and yes, I can concur after not sleeping for 4 days straight that it is a vibe like none other. One thing that I read that I really love was larger-than-life impressions. What impression can you leave on a tourist when they come here to make sure that they want to come back, to make sure that they might want to do business here, to make sure that they always do things here? And then I love, leader of the Caribbean. So that means that y'all setting precedent. That means that whatever you do, the rest of the Caribbean is looking at you. Whatever you do, the rest of the Caribbean is following. If you are a thought leader, they're going to think like you. If you put in an event, they're going to put in events like you. So other things that I heard them say that I actually love, and I was like, let me go change my presentation right fast because they would make it a little bit better. But I love the fact they said, perfect what we already have. So what's already happening here? How can you make that better? You don't have to create anything new, but perfect what we have. Extended stay. It's like when you go to the counter, right, and you wanna check out, but then you see everything that's $1, and you add all that value to your shopping cart. That's what the extended stay is like, right? But we also know that St. Thomas, there's a lot of business that is done here, and leisure tourism is on the line, meaning business and leisure. So how can you make somebody have an extended stay? Then places that need polishing. What maybe did you used to promote, and right now it's a little tarnished? You just need to get it out and make sure it's polished again. And then lastly, loyal fan base. And I know we think of it in one way because Commissioner Joe was talking about it in terms of the sports teams that you guys have partnership with. But what else are people loyal to in the USVI? People might be loyal to painkillers. Cool. Where can you get the best one, right? People might be loyal to the beaches. Great. What's a different story you can tell about being at the beach, right? So thinking about loyal fan base not only to teams, but to products, to people, to businesses. So the power of partnerships. So the first one I want to talk about is sports tourism. And you guys know St. Thomas, Aaliyah Boston is from here. Everybody knows who Aaliyah Boston is? Awesome, absolutely. 2023 Rookie of the Year. Yeah, we're going to give her a hand clap for sure. Sis is doing her thing. Also, I just met Miss Lori, who is from the school that she went to, so University of South Carolina. But when you think about sports tourism, what's on the rise right now in sports in general? Exactly. Women's sports. All 4 teams are men, no shade, I'm just saying. Let's think about the women, right? Let's figure out how to get the women involved, but especially when you have such a staple or person here like Aaliyah, right? And thinking about it not only from college basketball, because you guys already have the classic that you do here, but now thinking about it, how can we capture them from a younger age? I played basketball in high school, I played basketball in college. AAU was my life, right? AAU wasn't only my life, AAU was my parents' life. And why? Because I was underage, right? So Anytime we went anywhere, yeah, we could go with our team and our coaches, but my parents came with me. So now when you guys are thinking about what we talked about earlier, family, how do we get families here? How do we get families here? Sports is one way to get families here, and sports at a younger age. So when you think about it, the WNBA season is between May and September. I know that Aaliyah Boston Day is on June the 4th. However, if you can figure out how to get some type of AAU partnership in here, where there are some things that come through here that are through women's basketball, regardless if she can come or not, or just to even get college players here, that would drive a lot of support to the island in a different way, in a new way that you might not have ever seen before. All right, meetings and events. So I had never heard anybody call it MICE till you said it, but we're going to just say MICE for today. A lot of people, I don't know, has anybody ever heard of the National Coalition of Black Meeting Professionals in here? Or they used to be called Black Meeting Planners. Awesome. So what they do is they basically teach black organizations, or they advocate for black organizations to have all of their symposiums, or have all their regional meetings, their national conventions in different destinations. The reason why I wanted to point them out was specifically because every single Greek letter organization is a part of the National Coalition of Black Meeting Planners. When I come to USVI, if I don't see nothing else, I see the Divine Nine who show up and show out at any festival that you guys had. And for me, that was shocking because I didn't realize how many people are going to school in the States, but also how big of a representation you have here. So now when you think about it, no, maybe not a national convention, but when you think about regional conventions now, right? How many people that brings out? We're talking, yeah, thousands of people, and if USVI has the opportunity to be able to not only house those people, which from Commissioner Joe's presentation you do, right, but also just having to make sure that people start seeing you as a destination to hold these meetings. And it doesn't have to be something as big as this, but we're now talking about writing conferences. We're now talking about travel and tourism conferences. How can you bring in people to come in through this meeting and tourism space specifically based off of who you also already have here? So we'll see another example come from that, but I promise you, with these Divine Nine people that you guys have, or members of the sororities and fraternities, they need to start considering USVI for their regional conventions and all of the money that that would bring out. And what people don't realize about that, too, is if it's St. Thomas, if it's St. John, if it's St. Croix, they're not coming by themselves. They're also bringing their families with them because this is also a vacation destination. So, culinary tourism. So, we have another person in the house today. His name is Marcus Hammond. I'm not going to embarrass him right now either. However, he does something in South Carolina called the Black Food Truck Festival. So why is that significant here? Well, Marcus has been coming here since he played in the Classic here in undergrad, but not only that, he's friends with Julian, and Julian probably told him that story, so now he also wants to be in St. Thomas all the time. In fact, you probably cannot tell him that he's not from here. I'm pretty sure he thinks he is. So, but Black Food Truck Festival is an amazing event that happens in South Carolina, and it's getting ready to turn 4 years old. I love this event for so many reasons, but the biggest reason is because it is the fastest growing food truck or Black-owned food festival in America. And that deserves a hand clap. Last year, so 2023, it brought in $3 million into the city of Charleston. So that's just how much they injected in there. It created over 120 jobs. There was over 13,000 people who were there this past year. I had the pleasure of being there, and I remember just looking out one time and thinking, wow, but he wants to take that same concept and bring it to St. Thomas. Why is that significant? Because the highest amount of people who come to his conference are from Charlotte. Well, what do we know about Charlotte? Direct flight. Exactly. Direct flight on American Airlines. And not only that, people are looking for those experiences. What did he say earlier about the millennials? Does anybody remember? What did he say about how we travel, our travel trends? What? Luxury, yeah, and we know St. Thomas ain't cheap, so yeah, luxury for sure. But what else did he say? Basically, we're looking for experiences, right? So now if Marcus would come in and be able to do the Black Food Truck Festival like he does in South Carolina, where it's a 3-day event, but being able to bring this into USVI and now do other things with other people who are already here, to be able to build out a full event, right? To be able to to be able to build out a full experience of how people can not only explore St. Thomas, but the other 2 islands and really, really work it through. It's something that would be amazing and a unique partnership that you guys can have if you would bring in more things like that. But we also know people are going to always travel for food, right? But just thinking about also the food trucks that you guys have here. I go to Chi-Chi's. Love me some Chi-Chi's, right? One day I went to the dumpling lady, loved what she had too. And even though she's not necessarily a food truck, but she's a stand, now this is giving people exposure to your culinary, whatever stories you want people to know about the entrepreneurs who are there as well. And it builds out tourism even more. So has anybody heard of Dinner en Blanc? Yeah. Yes. Has anybody ever been able to go to one? Yeah. Yes. How was it? Fantastico, exactly. So if you guys have never heard of the Dinner en Blanc concept, it's a concept that can happen in any city in the world, well, really in the U.S. right now, but they have been doing things outside the U.S., but it's when a city puts a bid to bring in Dinner en Blanc, and it really is up to the city where they want to have it. It's a disclosed location. They don't tell you where it's going to be until the day of, but everybody dresses in white, and it happens in so many different places, but everybody dresses in white. They bring their own plates, they bring their own tables, they bring their own chairs, they bring their own food, and they have a party all in white. And it is insanely, insanely, insanely successful from city to city. Now, I put this specific one here because they're having one in St. Martin's. I wanted y'all to know that they're on y'all heels, but y'all the leaders in the Caribbean, so let's think about getting one here. But how do we tie this back into the USVI? Sorry. But how do we tie this back into USVI? Well, when I was here specifically in St. Croix, I had the pleasure of meeting, I call her Net now, but meeting Net, who does the food tour in St. Croix. And I was so excited to meet her because, for one, she was a black woman who has a food tour, but secondly, because she's so down to earth, but her connection, too, between America specifically and St. Croix. But she also was partnering with Rebel Croix. Has anybody been able to do a Rebel dinner party before? No, okay, so there are amazing dinner parties that typically happen on the beach, but I'm thinking, well, if they took them and then they did a Dinner en Blanc and had it in St. Croix or had one in St. Thomas or had one in St. John, how much more people, not only who would be coming in, but the people who are already here be able to experience, but also positioning it as something that you want people to come out and actually experience. I set a timer and I didn't know it was going so fast, okay. But to be able to come out and experience something like that happens here. And again, it's completely up to the city what they want to do. So also, when I was doing my research, I noticed that USVI has a film office, Imagine the Unimaginable, and filmmakers are able to come here and film in an extraordinary way. And of course they are. We can look outside of the windows and understand how amazing that is or how amazing that would look. Has anybody ever heard of the American Black Film Festival? That happens in Miami every year, and it's huge. It's a huge thing. Now, granted, they're not leaving Miami. However, outside of Miami, they do smaller events. So being able to work with a brand like them, to be able to bring something to the USVI, where now you hold a conference, you let people know, filmmakers know where they can come here, they can learn how to get certain shots, they can learn how to work with the best of them, but again, establishing USVI as the place to be to do what you need to do. And then lastly, I just want to talk about this because you talked about perfecting what you already have. So I didn't know that USVI has a partnership with Rock Nation, but I thought that was amazing. Like he said, that's Jay-Z, but one thing that a lot of people don't know is that Rock Nations are hand in hand with Puma. And why is that important? Because Puma makes shoes, but why even more so? Because Puma does so many things where they bring in talent to create certain shoes to celebrate anything that they want to celebrate. So I had to ask my sis here how to pronounce this so that I did not say it wrong. But one thing you think about when you see USVI is your staple print, Madras, right? So now think about it like that. If you guys work with Rock Nation and the Virgin Islands Council of the Arts to be able to commission some of your artists to be able to come in and take something that's significant from the USVI and create a shoe that's surrounding it to celebrate your heritage, and thinking about how many people are in Charlotte, how many people are in Florida, how many people that would make excited, I think that that would be a great thing to do. And then I took it one step further and I said, then you can have like an opening presentation in St. Croix at the center of the arts. But being able to tie everything in together where, again, you're still using the people who are here, you're still using outside partnerships, but they're unique enough to where you are still being able to celebrate your heritage and everything that you can do right here. So even though that was quick, Ayana, I got us out on time. We still on time. So remember who you guys say you are. You say you're naturally in rhythm. You say that's a vibe like no other. You say that you have larger than life impressions and that you are the leader of the Caribbean. Things that you want to work on, perfecting what you have. You want to make sure people are here for extended stays. You want to make sure that you're polishing those things that might be a little tarnished now. So maybe that Caribbean Center of the, or Museum of the Caribbean Center of the Arts wasn't getting a lot of love, but this is a way that you can give them some love, right? And then don't forget your loyal fan base. People love USVI, and I see why. So thank you. If you have any questions, ask me outside because I'm trying to keep y'all on time. Thank you.
So you know I'm big on applause, so let's please give her another round of applause. Excellent presentation. I know we could have used another hour with her, but we are going to continue with our tourism summit. But we thank you so much for being our keynote speaker, the wealth of information. We want to make sure, get your phones out, scan her QR code, continue to follow and support everything that she is involved in. And we want to make sure, again, that we take all of the knowledge and information that she shared to continue to improve our Virgin Islands product. So what we're going to do now, how was lunch, first of all? Lunch was good? Everybody is stuffed? You're going to stay awake in the afternoon? We're going to manage, okay, get a bottle of water, get some water. We're going to make our way back to our original room. We are going to have a beachside chat. Indoors, we're going to let our imagination help us out, but we are going to hear from Commissioner Buchelter and also our governor. So this is going to be a presentation that you don't want to miss. I did hear Assistant Commissioner Henneman state that if you had questions, that would be the time to direct them to the big bosses, of course. So we are going to ask for everyone to make your way immediately back to the room. You'll have a 5-minute little break so that we can stay on target and continue with the rest of today's presentation. And just to let you know that there is a shuttle all day from here at the Westin Reef to Pier 22. So if you parked at Haven site, you'll have no trouble. You'll have a shuttle all day. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Lewis, for that keynote presentation. We will continue next door with our commissioner and governor.